Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Boss, and this is a breakdown of Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Episode 8, the season finale, The Southern Cross. From Matt Murdock's Iron Man-inspired courtroom reveal to Kingpin going on a killing spree against some cosplayers. Let's go through this episode scene by scene for all the Easter eggs and details you missed. And for the last time this season, I am wearing our Nelson Moroccan Page exclusive design available at our merch store, nerdride.shop. Grabbing one of these is not only a great way to remember the best law firm in the MCU, it's also just a great way to support what we're doing here at New Rockstars. Thank you so much. The finale episode opens with Matt and Karen in a dreamlike scenario, wearing color tones and out in the public in a way they've never been able to do all season since the city's been in a war zone going to Penda Garden, the East Village Indian restaurant known for its year-round Christmas lights and Bob policy. This is where Matt and Karen went on their date in Season 2, Episode 5 of the Netflix era, and it was their rendezvous spot in Episode 2 of this season. While this is just in Karen's fantasy here in the courtroom, it will be the date they later actually go on after the conflict is resolved. So, in a way, Karen is kind of seen into her future. Karen Page, psychic witch, confirmed as she and Kirsten wait for Matt to get patched up by Jessica Jones and Frank Castle's hideout from Matt's shot in the leg from the goons in Episode 7. But Cashman returns to Mayor Fisk. Did Daniel deliver Miss Urich as promised? No. So by now you probably know how the original ending of Episode 7, as it was written and even shot with the actors, was to have Buck Cashman actually not pull the trigger and instead leave Daniel Blake alive and then tell him to run away, and then in this finale episode lie to Kingpin's face about having killed him. And the showrunner said that in the new administration, Daniel would have gone to the interim mayor to resign, and then interim mayor probably Sheila Rivera would have said, "I'm going to keep you close because I don't trust you." But the actor who plays Buck Cashman, Artie Fawn, and the showrunner, Dario Scardin, explained all of this to Variety, saying that in the editing room, Daniel Blake's storyline felt wrong and unearned and kind of meh. So they used CGI to alter the scene to make Buck Cashman now fire the gun and to make Daniel's head react to that. It is wild to fully change the context of Artie's acting in that final shot of Episode 7, and yeah, to kill off a character in post-production. Everyone in the casting crew were shocked and devastated to learn that the character story had ended. But everyone seems to think, and I agree, that overall it does make for a better story. It's just weird that they did it that way. But here in this episode, when we now see this long stare between Fisk and Cashman, obviously they cut around the exchange that they were going to have, and rather than have a beat where Buck would have been lying to Fisk, they just kept in this blank stare. Kind of like in The Simpsons when Rock Bottom made Homer look evil and violent just by pausing on his face. "No, Mr. Simpson, don't take your anger out on me. Get back. Get back, Mr. Simpson. No dramatization may not have happened." Then at trial, Hochberg questions Heather Glenn, who claims that Karen Page has antisocial personality disorder, what was previously referred to as a sociopath, to which I would say to Miss Glenn, takes one to know one. Then Matt limps in, and Heather, I believe, sharing a room with her ex-boyfriend for the first time since Season 1, flashes that vulnerability that Karen Page was able to rage bait out of her in Episode 7. Hochberg pulls out Heather's book, Men in Masks, The Psychology of Vigilantes, and reads her own writing that the vigilante's mask reveals the identity underneath, while they tend to hide who they are behind facades like this. Beautiful boyfriend, the responsible boss, the loyal son. Aha, interesting. Those are all roles that Matt plays. A beautiful boyfriend to Heather, but really now to Karen. The responsible boss to the associates of the law firm, and the loyal son to the late Jack Murdock, and in a way to Stick, you could say. Matt asks her if Karen Page can be considered a vigilante if she doesn't wear a mask. But Heather says Karen is really hiding behind Daredevil's mask, setting up the illogic of vigilante by proxy so that Matt can hit Heather with doing that from hiding behind the Kingpin mask. But in truth, Heather is doing that with a Muse mask, and Karen is kind of embracing more of the Punisher's ideals in Daredevils. Interesting how Frank doesn't hide behind a mask either. Now, if you look closely at Matt's paperwork in the courtroom in episode 7, Charlie Cox actually had on the table in front of him an actual comic book, a Marvel premiere collection of Daredevil Born Again by Frank Miller. I assume he's got that in his notes here, too. Meanwhile, across the street, the AVTF goons have a sniper posing in a fake Bullseye costume. Buck and Powell's plan here was to assassinate Matt Murdock and publicly blame it on Bullseye. I suppose by leaking that CCTV footage from the stairwell that we saw. Matt calls as his first witness Mayor Wilson Grant Fisk. Fisk's huge back fills the frame as he stomps down the aisle to acquire vocal rendition of the main Daredevil theme. Matt smiles as he listens closely to the mayor's heartbeat. This is going to be how he knows if he's getting a rise out of his witness. But then the goons fill the courtroom as a showing of solidarity with the mayor, a form of intimidation that I guess I shouldn't be too shocked these judges allow. But you know, these goons did kill a cop and shoot Matt Murdock in the leg the day before in the basement garage underneath this building, I guess, to zero consequence. Like, no one ever brought that up. Or maybe they did, but the judges were just too afraid to do anything about it. Cole North, though, you'll notice, closes the doors and stays outside the courtroom, a sign that he's not exactly in lockstep with Powell after seeing what Powell did to Saunders. Also, we later see that North hung back so that he could escort in Jessica Jones and Governor McCaffrey, who are kind of hanging out together in this episode, and I guess are just kind of off-screen besties. Fisk begins not by answering questions, but just by beginning a speech. When I was a boy, I was taught to find the biggest man and bring him down. When I was a boy. Yes. Wilson Fisk said this phrase to Vanessa when she asked about his cufflinks on their very first date. They were my father's. I wear them every day to remember him. Did he pass? When I was a boy. And he went into much more gruesome detail using this phrase with Dex in Season 3. When I was a boy, I beat my father's skull in with a hammer. But Matt getting Fisk comfortable by letting him make this lofty speech at the top was really part of Matt's strategy. Meanwhile, we cut to the real Bullseye, ricocheting some of his daggers to take out the goons in the stairwell and the security camera. So much for that plan. It's got to be pretty amusing for Dex to fight a fake Bullseye when his whole arc in Season 3 of the Netflix era was to go around as a fake Daredevil. And I love how precise Dex is both with the blade ends of his knives and the butts of them. He sticks the goons with some of his tosses, and then with others he uses the butts to knock them forward into a column to knock them out. And I really love this shot where we follow this knife upside down as it flies into the arm of the fake Bullseye. I mean, it's really just classic Dex to see a situation where he's clearly being set up to be a sharpshooter in a window and then just lean right into that sniper rifle anyway, knowing that he could be far more effective with it than anyone trying to frame him would be. But notice how he says poser. Yeah, calling that goon a poser definitely reminds me of when Frank Castle called the goo bunch of fanboys in Season 1. As Matt's questions try to come at Fisk for whether the Safer Streets initiative has actually made New York safer and whether the task force detainments have made things more lawless, Hochberg's objections are all sustained. Judge Waters has shown she's just completely helpless when it comes to the Safer Streets initiative. But notice that when Matt shifts to the Northern Star incident and how Fisk blaming that on Daredevil was only done by Powell and Hochberg, both of whom are under Fisk's employee, Judge Waters for the first time overrules Hochberg's objections, showing how underneath all that is a bit of legal courage and maybe a bit of annoyance at seeing a big boat sticking out of the East River. So, as Waters brings in all the lawyers into chambers, Fisk uses Matt's enhanced hearing just to quietly mutter from one noisy room over, knowing that only Matt would be able to hear him.